can be.
Okay.
We are now recording because obviously I didn't think to do that.
That's, just for everyone to look back if they want to
Yeah,
see
100%.
anything. And you can see now the cool thing is we've already created the spotlight effect. So the eye is still, it's going down to my lips, which is really cool. It's a fall off from the top there. You know, logically, if you put a block thing, you know, we're blocking the light from coming down, it's going to seep through, but again, as a nice soft fall off. You can see it's going to be brighter up there than it is back there. That is really what we want to aim for.
I love the way you can paint in the general area and the blend if will handle.
Exactly. Yes, it's pretty magical. Honestly.
That is mind blowing.
So it gives me a lot of flexibility and not have to worry. I'm generally like guiding the light. You know,
what a time saver.
I mean, it's not gonna. Still takes time, but it just you don't have to be as careful. And it gives you a better understanding of where you want, especially when we'll see the next step that we're going to do is when we're adding that light source. This is why I kind of do it in this order. Hey, Shaya, welcome.
You would use this technique when you want to brighten the existing highlights and darken the existing shadows.
Oh, that's in every image because I want my eye to be led to a certain area.
Yeah.
Again, especially because I do add this this light leak effect that you'll see in a second. I add that to pretty much everything. It's kind of my signature edit, if you will. So you can see that's before, and this is after dodging and burning.
That's awesome for black and white too. That's
how I learned actually. When I originally that's how I developed the workflow.
Oh.
Again, as you can see, there our eye is led straight to those solar paper rolls. And as we go along, that's always what we're doing, leading the eye to that center. So once dodge and burning is done, I want to go ahead and darken these edges a little bit before we add our light effects. So to do this is the fun. Again, this gives a lot. It's a fun technique. It gives a lot more control over things, and that's the key for me in Photoshop. So on a blank layer, set to normal, everything's normal. And we're just going to press G for gradient tool. And we want to make sure our foreground is set to black, background is set to white, and our gradient here is foreground to transparent. So that's going to make it black to white. So it's going to go from black to fall off. You know, so dark around the edges, and when it gets to the middle, it's going to create that kind of glowing effect. So we're just going to start it off in the left-hand corner here. As you can see, it's a little bit much. So we're going to press Shift and drag it out toward the edges. As you can see, this is softening the effect. It's pretty cool. So that's one layer, that's one side done. Now I'm just going to press Command J, like I did in the beginning. And what I want to do is press Command T to transform it. So you want to right click, you press Command T to pull up the transform, right click, flip horizontal. And I was going to flip that to the other side.
Are you editing 8-bit or 16?
I think 8-bit. I imported straight from Capture One.
Okay.
I think I'm at 8-bit. So that's 2 layers done. Now again, Command J, Command T. I'm going to rotate that 180 to bring that to the top section. And as you can see with these big gradients, you start to create a really nice and even, vignette. And again, we're going to do that one more time. And from that top layer is already on the left, we're going to flip that horizontally. Again, be on the right. So let's see here. As you can see, that's obviously a little bit much, right? So what I want to do is group these together, Shift click, Command G. This is called my vignette. And if I'm going too quickly, anybody, let me know. Slow down.
I'm just confused about why you had that box that was bigger than the picture.
It's just to stretch it out. So I'm stretching that gradient out for each
He's
one.
stretching the gradient out.
So it's to kind of lose, to kind of give that fall off effect. So that's the vignette. But the trick here though is once we're on that group layer, we're gonna make a layer mask on that. Now a layer mask is kind of saying to Photoshop, this is what's visible and this is what's invisible. Kind of an eraser, or kind of what's going to be shown on that layer. So to do that, you just add that little, I call it like almost a cookie. You know what I mean? It's like no, it's not a cookie. It's just yeah, it's a white box with a black circle in it. So anyway, on that mask, to make something invisible, we want to paint black over it. So I have to shift that back to black. And again, using that same gradient tool, we're going to make a gradient mask. This again will give us that fall off, which is what we're always after. So instead of this linear gradient, we're just going to go ahead and change that to a radial gradient. So a radial gradient is just going to take it from the center point and move it out toward the edges. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to start smack in the center, and as you can see, the vignette is starting to glow. See what's happening there? And I have all the control I need. Let's say I want it brighter on the top here. Remember that fall off? I'm just going to keep going like that. And it's going to shift my gradient around. It's going to shift my gradient out toward the edges, all in a super, super soft manner. So that affects a little bit much on the edges. Lower that opacity, and there we go. And then this is going to be the perfect companion for when we do the next step, which is the thing from on top. So you can see it's going to be a lot more visible. So that's without. So the light is literally just spreading everywhere, and that's with. So it still maintains that focal point at the middle, point, which is the toilet paper, and it kind of darkens those edges, giving, remember that fall off is on top, and as it goes down, it loosens, it lessens off. And this is all created in Scratch. Again, I'm going to group everything together. That's before, that's after. Before, again, there was like light everywhere, it was spillage, not very much, there's not much attention anywhere, all over the place. And here we go. We're just slowly leading our eye to the center. So that's always what you want to figure out, is where you want your eye led to. Just like in a black and white image, take that same principles and apply it to this. So like I said, we're going to make that little light leak effect. Super simple. You're going to make that little blank layer, and obviously a light is white. So you're going to change that foreground color to white. Now, with your brush tool selected, pressing B, you want to make sure this is 100% opacity, because you, again, want full control. You want to get that full density when you plot this thing on the canvas, and then you have the control of how dense it is when you transform it. So we're going to make a super big blob of white on this blank layer here. So 1, 2, 3. Looks pretty stupid, right? So all we have to do is press Command T again, and you can see again it's a super big blob of gross white. No layer, no blend modes, nothing. All we're doing is pressing Option to expand it, to make it bigger, and we're gonna shift click and just drag it up. Literally just drag it up, and you can see the density of the light leak being affected. So up there, it's not much, and as we bring this thing down, it's coming into the frame. So I kind of like that, this medium here. There. And the reason why we scaled it up so big, so that spread is a little bit more even. If it was just in the middle, again, it looks a little bit fake. So we'll just lower that opacity a little bit too. Okay. So the only issue I have right now is this area up here is a little bit dark still. Those shadows are a little bit dense, right? And this is a kind of a monotone gray that Dodge and Burn didn't do enough for me. So on this kind of brightness and layer, this is where I'll come in with curves and levels and really crank those highlights up a little bit where I want those things to pop. So quite simply, just make the curves. Layers. I'm painting with white since that is invisible. I inverted that layer, pressing Command I. And now nothing is visible. And I'm going to paint back in to those exact areas where I want that light to fall from the top. So again, paint with 100% opacity, so I have that full density. I could always just consistent density, I will. And then we could then just lower the opacity if we want a less of an effect. But this is going to give us the most even spread. So we're going to go there. Let's change. Yeah, go ahead.
Would it make a difference if you change the blend mode to luminosity, or the color is not affected by the curve?
I don't think that, no, the color is not affected too much. Because that we haven't even, that's why I do color last. Kind of build up my light first.
Yes.
And then bring in the color. So maybe I'll change that to soft light or overlay. There we go. And we're just going to paint in those areas. Because you want that light to really come down. And you'll see in a second, we'll make a levels contrast layer, and then we're about done with lighting. Again, if anybody has any questions, holler. That's our curves, exposure adjustment. Next, I just wanted to bring out that contrast a little bit more. So bring that white over there. Bring the black slider down a little bit. Add that punch contrast. As you can see, there's not much there. So bam, one click, and it just crunches everything. It's a nice little crunch. Lower that opacity a little bit. And this is, remember again, doing that fall off effect. So, layers, I want to lower that opacity just there. And I think I'm pretty happy with that. Let's go before and after. So really those two layers here. Let's go just exposure, extra exposure. And this is going to be our sunburst. Sunlight. Okay, here we are. So the next thing we're going to do is jump straight into color, which is my favorite part by far, because I think I'm very happy with this lighting. We really are drawn in to the face. So this is kind of the hardest part. This is kind of where I play it by ear. So actually, I think before I jump into color, I just want to do those last effects like liquefy to kind of give the image a little touch. I'll jump in there. So just to do that liquefy, I'm going to make a stamp visible layer. Pretty much anything underneath here will become its own. This is one stamp. It's kind of everything in one layer. Filter, liquefy. This is going to be the fun part. So this is a kind of a crazy edit that I'm doing. I want that.
Give yourself huge muscles.
What's that?
Give yourself huge muscles.
That's funny. Yes, I might. Or it could be, and this is where the creativity comes in. You can really do anything here. That's funny. This is the, I wish I looked with these things.
Popeye the Sailor.
Thank you for that suggestion. Guys, if anyone has any suggestions on how I should edit, please let me know. That's really funny.
Beats working out every day, huh?
Yeah, my life at sea. Okay.
Should definitely, at the end of all this, Photoshop on a anchor tattoo on your right forearm.
No, I don't know if I'm fit for that though. I'm going to expand that throw a little bit. This is kind of what my hair looks like. A mess. Okay, and the thing here, I'm going to minimize my shirt a little bit, squeeze it in. Give those muscles a little bit more air to breathe. That's the beauty of Photoshop, is you can really just go where your heart desires. Just twist up that mouth a little bit, make those forward people rolls a little bit bigger.
Huh.
Give them a little depth.
Gee.
So that was a little bit much of distortion. I'm kind of happy with this medium. What do you guys think? In terms of distortion.
Almost looks like is it Mad Magazine? Looks like the kind of caricature they would play with.
Yeah, no, it's supposed to be a character. It's not supposed to be too realistic. So
Yeah, no, of course.
Cool.
let's see what I can. Let me this little
Yeah.
upper lip. Let's see.
Oh, there you go.
No, it's not moving. It's not frozen. Forehead.
It,
For some reason, let me reopen it.
it might not recognize your face.
Oh, that's fun. Oh my god. That's hilarious. Yes, it doesn't.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, there's not much face to deal with, so.
How would you fill that pull down? I always had trouble with that in Liquify.
What's that?
When you pull down the top, you lost the color. Is there a way to not lose the? Oh, that's right. Of course, you just do a freeze. Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah. Okay. So that fantasy is done.
It's very cool.
And this kind of edit warrants this amount of editing. You're not going to do a still model or anything. And this is just for a character that is in my head. So really, I think honestly now we're ready for art, which is really going to tie the whole thing in. And then we'll add some effects and call it a day.
Huh.
But this is the kind of the workflow I go through on pretty much every edits. Now I'm just going to bring up, this is my color palette that I made. David, I know you missed this, but this is from the American flag. So I pulled this American flag from Google and just eye dropped the colors, just like color accuracy around the image, keeping that luminosity the same and stuff. So I'm going to take this. This is going to be kind of my leading guide here. So the first thing I want to do is change that hat color to red. Let's see. So the first thing I want to do, just fill it with solid color. Change that to soft light. Or no, luminosity. No.
Really? With color?
No, hold on. There we go. Color. So color fill, you set the color. Lower that opacity just a hair.
Wait, how did you get the whole thing to not be white? I mean, red?
not be red. Well, I mean, I just shift deleted and then change the mode to color.
Oh.
Okay, so now I have a mask on there, and I wanted to change this. Okay, so there's the red I'm going for in the American flag. Now I'm going to invert that because I don't want it anywhere else besides my tape, like that. Is this me or is blurry on that one side? Did I add a blur? No. That's shredding with my eyes. Damn. See how these are blurry? Like the brush stroke was really, the brush stroke was really soft. It's not blurry. Okay. So now I just want to paint this on my head. There we go. Literally just going to paint it in. Change that hardness around the edges. There we go. I kind of want to be careful with this because it will bleed in the other things. And I'm literally just going to paint it with my brush. I'll make one rough thing here and then clean it up in a second. Just to kind of give myself an idea of what it's going to look like. And the cool thing is, I'll show you guys once we finish this, painting this guy in, that we can make a bunch more adjustments by only affecting this layer by using clipping masks.
How will you avoid coloring the hair?
Oh, that's because I'm on that blend mode color.
Got it.
Let me go in with a soft brush. Go around the edges, clean that up. And since I'm on a mask, I'm literally just pressing X and switching. You know, if I want more red on an area, I'm just pressing white to make something visible. And if I want to erase it, press X to make it invisible. So this is a little bit rough. But now I'm just going to paint in a little bit more detail. I don't know what that's doing there. Welcome, Yassi. Welcome, Yassi Flare. Fire. Flare. Okay. Cleaning up that edge around here. There we go. Cool technique to go around the edges and stuff is using shift. It makes a straight line. I'm going to make a dab here with the red. See how this is kind of a straight line with my hair? Just pressing shift, it's going to go straight like that. I'm going to do all my work in instance. Right there, again, shift. Follow the line of my hair. Bam, there we go. And I really like just using the brush and not just any fancy, nothing fancy. With the pen tool or the selection tool, this just gives me a lot more flexibility, I think, in terms of how I can erase it.
We're not seeing your tool set on the left-hand side. So
Yeah, because I'm in full screen. I'm just on a brush.
Okay.
A soft, normal soft brush. And again, the cool thing is once we mask in this thing, it feels like it takes a little bit of work at the beginning. But once we mask it in like that, I'm pretty happy with that. First of all, it already gives the life, the image character. And we'll use complementary colors to go with the blue background. Let's see, so let's change that to maybe soft white. No. Look at that, guys. So I kind of wanted this denser version where that red is really saturated. But if I just lower that opacity a little bit, There we go. We still get those wrinkles in the hat, but it looks pretty convincing. We can add a little bit maybe later for the last final step, adding a little bit more light, pronunciation in that one area, because it does go a little bit flat. But I'm really happy with that. See how it matches the color of our red flag? Pretty much spot on. So that's kind of my guiding color palette. I'm happy with that. So the next thing I want to do is change the background to that blue. So I'm going to sample this. I'm going to sample this guy. This is going to make our background color, or the foreground fill color. This. I'm going to hide this guy. I'm going to make a new layer and using the same technique we did in the beginning. I'm going to press Shift Delete. And now it's going to fill the whole thing with our foreground color that we just sampled, which is this background, which is going to be the background. So that's okay. There we go. And set this mode to soft reds. And look at that, guys. All it does is just start this as a base. Lower that a bit. Opacity a bit. I'm going for this brighter blue, I think. So I'm going to put in that dirty work right now, and we're going to make this mask. I'm going to invert that again with our big brush tool, harder edge. And again, guys, it seems like a lot of work in the beginning, but you have once we mask in these things, we'll be able to adjust our things and just those things. So
do you ever get halos?
What's that?
Do you ever get halos when you do a selection?
I don't think so, because I'm using a hard enough brush and I'm really paying attention to the details.
Okay, good.
That's something you have to think about when you're painting around the edges, to make sure it's a hard enough brush. Because I always run into that mistake too, where I'm trying to do a color thing or something, and it's not a hard enough edge. But then you start getting doesn't feel believable at all. So literally, we're just with a very detailed brush, just going around the edges.
Blend mode is soft light, right?
Yeah. So again, this is going to minimize the amount of spillage that we get on the other sections.
I never thought of doing that.
And the big thing here is to establish that color scheme initially.
Yeah.
So you can kind of see where you're going. With me, it's always complementary colors. It's because I like I said a bunch of times, that I want my eye to be led to the middle. And one of the most powerful ways to do that is through color. So that's usually how I pick my color schemes. It's either that or monochromatic. And for those of you who don't know, monochromatic is just monochromatic and complementary. Monochromatic is simply just one kind of tonal range, color range. And then complementary is just the two colors that are opposite each other on the color wheel.
Have you had any luck using the selection tools?
Oh no. Again, I just find this to have the most control.
Well, this is more direct, yeah.
And I don't know if it's just me. I kind of like to be really just painting. I like that vibe. Because I'm an artist myself, so I kind of want that.
Right.
It's really what we're doing in Photoshop or anything. It's just painting with light and color. So think of it like a painting. The key to painting is like where you know, compositionally, through color, through lighting, where's your eye going to be led to? Again, this is the most tedious.
Are you painting on the mask layer?
Yeah.
Okay.
So then I can go in, if I have more time, which I probably will go in later, clean it up a little bit. But
Yeah.
for time's sake here, I'll make it a little bit rough probably. So we're making progress. This is what it takes. Oh yeah, the shirt should be a lot easier. I kind of like, you'll see, I kind of like to work in zones. You know what I mean? So I'm going to work at, like I said, with the hat first, and then just the background, and then just my face, skin tone, and stuff like that. And that's how I like to work in lighting and everything in zones. Keeps things structured. Let's see here. And I kind of like to start on these solid color fills, just to kind of give me a little base, you know, of color, give me an idea of what's going on. That one went pretty quick. Finishing steps. And usually I don't go this heavy editing, you know, but for an artistic edit like this, when I don't want this overarching, I honestly find monochromatic color schemes are a lot easier because they blend in so well with each other. So you really don't have to worry too much about background separation and stuff like that, where you're trying to establish one set of colors. Complementary is a lot more complex. You really want that separation between foreground and background. And that's why this takes a little bit more time. Look at that. Now, literally with the biggest brush I have, save time. I'm just using shift to fill that space. There we go, going along the edges. The hard work is done. And the cool thing, and the thing I try to do too, is nail these color adjustments in like 1 or 2 layers. Do all of it, you know, in the zones, but in different and very limited layers. Let's see here. Are you guys bored yet, or?
Well, I picked up a few very valuable ideas, you know, which is the whole point.
I think it really shows you what you can do with something that I know not enough about to take full advantage of, and it makes me really want to, you know, start experimenting more with all this stuff.
I mean, I'm actually just using just basic tools. It's just the order and kind of way those tools are being used. If you think about it, it's just the brush. It's honestly, all the work is literally just the brush tool. It's just ways of using it. It's really just the way I see it, the bigger picture. Or again, it's broken up into zones. But this way you can see like the, you want that relationship between the zones to be fluid.
What's the effect of the color blend mode?
I don't know. I honestly don't know the science behind it.
Yes, yes. I've noticed that a lot of people that use blend modes just try them out.
Yeah, I mean, I think it just works. Yeah, it's honestly, I
Yeah,
never looked into it because it just works. And
yeah,
like sometimes if I'm every material is different, every way the light hits is different. So every editing session is going to go a little bit different in the way I approach
yeah. I find it.
textures and
Yeah. Oh, textures too. Yeah.
let's change that hardness down to softer. Okay. You guys just watched me paint for like an hour. Essentially.
Wow, that's funny.
So everyone is still here. Thanks for sticking around.
Are you going to do some color grading also?
Yeah, that's the final step.
Good.
We're just building things up. But I do have this LUT and preset that I made that kind of combines everything. It kind of gives everything a nice cohesive.
You create LUTs?
I have this one LUT that I have.
Oh, okay. Is that how you color grade with a LUT?
Everything, yeah. That one LUT is the starting. Oh, look at that. That first thing is done. How crazy. Okay. So this is really the fun part. So I go into selected color. And so this is really cool. So I'm going to press Option. And you can see this little arrow thing that comes up, right?
Yeah.
Now that's going to be linked. That's called a clipping mask. And it's all it is linked to this black mask here that we already just spent 10 minutes doing. So I make any adjustment here, it's going to adjust simply what we just painted, which is why I just did that first step to give me that like base blue. Where did it go?
Clipping mask is when you want to apply a mask to only one layer.
Yeah. All right, so again, the zones. So this is neutrals. Let's see how this works. So you guys can see that it's not affecting anything on my face, on my body. Look at that. Look how magical this color grading. You don't have to do anything. You have complete control over.
Thank you so much, Ellie, for doing this. I have to go, but this was so informative.
Awesome. Yeah, if you want a recording of this, feel free to shoot me an email. Just go on my website, elidreyfus.com, and then I'll send you over,
will do.
Yeah, I'll send you over a recording of the class.
Okay, thank you so much. Have a great night.
Sure. Yeah, you too.
That's gorgeous.
So we're getting that exact effect that we were going for in the beginning. A little too blue right now. Let's add a little bit of green in there. More cyan. So this part's a little bit just experimentation. And now let's give our reference. That's pretty freaking close. I think that's pretty. That blue of the flag is pretty close to the blue on the background here. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. So the next thing I want to do, let me see. I'm going to see if I can write the words. Play a little around with text, see what comes up. If it takes too long, then I'll just move on to the next thing.
Text.
I have this cool effect that I downloaded called Protest Paint, which I think is going to work pretty well here.
You create a separate layer for the text, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
got. Let's see. Let's change the spacing. There we go. And then T shift, make it a little bigger. See, it looks like paint already. And once we change that blend mode, do that there. Change that spacing again.
That is so clever.
Actually, let's do it only just one word at a time. So I'm going to copy and paste this so it's the same size. Got. So now I can control that spacing. The light's going there. Okay. I've got, so again, I'm going to Command C, Command V, so it's that same font base. That's okay. I'll change that effect in a second. And then J again, and T, change that to 2020. And then, and you can see if I change it just to normal, it's going to mess up the sizing. So Command C, Command V, and we're just going to change that text again to vision. So now I have control over every single layer, and I can mess around with this laying out of it.
It looks like that's painted on your T-shirt. That is so cool.
And you'll see in a second when we make some adjustments on it. It's crazy. It looks so.
Are you going to add the wrinkles?
I don't think so. I just changed the blend mode.
Oh. I
bet
the blend mode will add the wrinkles.
Pretty much. It's going to take that underlying.
Yes.
I like the flow of this.
Wow.
This typography. Let's see. So I'm just literally just Command T, controlling every aspect of it. That. Make sure these line up. A with the T. 2020 matches the. I want to make that a little bit denser. But yeah, that's why I knew this font would work. Like it already kind of looks. And I'll be changing the color to red to kind of have that sandwich effect.
What's that font called?
What's that?
What's that font called?
I think Protest something. I'll check that out.
Okay, sure.
2020.
That's a perfect T-shirt font.
And I think I also like the layout of this.
Yeah.
It has a nice flow. So the cool thing here is that all these texts are one thing. So this is where the font comes in. You're going to Command G, group them all together. And you can now control the entire group.
So you grouped it.
I grouped everything together once I made individual layers. Make that perspective match a little bit more. And,
how did you group it?
I'd shift click all the layers together, and then Command G to group.
Each word is a layer.
Yeah.
Of course.
But the thing there is because I want overall effects to affect everything. To affect all of these texts. But then I would have to go individually with each one. All right, so this is the funnest part. So you just double click. All these options here are different things that we'll do. So bevel and emboss. Give that a little shadow.
Wow.
And we'll give that a little, actually we don't need a bevel and emboss. Give that a little stroke. Put that outside. So it kind of looks written. Make that a little bit, make that blue actually. Yeah. Lower the opacity of it. size it up. I think it's a hint of that blue. Cool. Okay. So let's see what we can do here with blending options using that underlying layer again.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do is take out the white. There we go. How crazy. And what's left is just that stroke. And it's coming back a little bit.
And so the underlying wrinkles will show through.
Precisely, yeah. Especially when I go to the next step. Let me change that stroke, maybe the back to that. I don't want it too much. Okay, now this is the coolest thing. Look at that color overlay. Change that to red. Let's eyedrop this exact red. Bam. So you have that connection between the foreground and the background. And I mean, it honestly looks pretty freaking real that it's on the shirt.
That makes it look like it's been washed. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of make it fade out. So you're matching the lighting. So I'm just going to take that whole group. So I'm matching, see how it's a matte vibe down there? More of a matte tone.
Yes.
The overall image. And then that's where I get that color.
Did you make the tone more matte by using opacity?
Yeah. So that's kind of the last steps, is bring everything together through a little extra lighting, which is fun. So this is good. So we're about to finish up here. I'm just gonna make a final levels adjustment just to kind of even things out. Gives it a little pop, right? We want to highlight certain things. Against that, or lift those shadows a little bit. Move that exposure a smidge, drop the highlights. All right, here.
Was it shot with a 5D Mark III?
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's kind of invert that. And you're just going to paint it back with, let's say, 50% opacity. And look at this. I'm going to paint with that big brush with white and shebang. No, I'm going to make that hardness at the 0. And it's going to look like a spotlight that shines straight on that 2020. Right there. 1, 2, bam. But if I keep clicking that, you make a lighting effect in itself, and it's drawn to that 2020. Same thing with the hat. Let's make another levels or curves. Curves there. Kind of want to bring out that white in the hat. Back to that. Yeah. Give it a little punch. 50%. And you can see the punch is starting to come back. Just on the top here. I'll do it in my hair. And a little there to lift those shadows. So it kind of makes that light fall off a little bit more believable.
Did you study painting or drawing?
What's that?
Did you ever study painting or drawing?
Self-taught.
Self-taught, okay.
Yeah. 20%. Going to give it a little bit more pop down there. And honestly, I think it's there for the whole effect. And then I'm just going to do
phenomenal.
Hold on, let me just put that final. This is a color lookup layer. The standard.
The LUT.
So I'm just going to go into my.
Oh, the color grading.
Yeah, this is it's literally done in one layer. It's in one of these. Oh my god, my desktop is beyond disaster. Okay. Business and film photo assets. And there it is, cinematic preset. You can see with one click, lower that opacity. It's going to bring everything together in one warm So look what it does to my skin. Show you before and after. So see how the highlights in my skin are cold?
Mm-hmm.
With one click, it warms everything up. And it's going to add a little bit of warmth. So it literally just adds warmth with the highlights. And that's about it. It ties everything together. So on a blue background like this, that's where the technique really shines. I'm going to do one, again, a few more just tweaks. I wanted that a little bit more saturated. Go with this vibe.
So this saturates the whole image.
Yeah, oh, just the blues.
Just the blues, how? Oh, you did a selection.
Yeah, pretty much.
You on the blue channel.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Good.
Let's make that one more levels adjustment. Again, this is as I go. Just think about final steps to kind of clean things up. There was too much blown out. That's what I'm going to do. This is the real stamp. I'll make a stamp visible layer. Condense everything up there. Shadows, highlights. But now you can really control the overall density of the entire shadows once everything is locked in. The tone of it.
I've never seen this control before.
But this just gives a nice vibe to the shadows. Give me a more actually. It gives a more cartoony.
Is that an adjustment layer?
Yeah, yeah. It's just a stamp visible layer with a shadows highlight adjustment. Radius. Okay. Now the midtone. This is the secret here. You go in the opposite direction. Look how it flattens it out. That's 4, and that's after. This flattens out the whole image. Now what I want to do is just lower this opacity a lot. This is pretty much a global adjustment to the whole thing, kind of even out those tones before and after. Gives a nice even fall off between everything. So nothing's too dark, nothing's too light. Then finally, I'm just going to do one that adjusts simply the highlights. There we go. %, opacity. There we go, just in those targeted whites. So it's not super blown out. Let me do a little bit of my shirts.
Amazing.
These are all just kind of global adjustments. Kind of tie the whole thing in together. Okay, so I don't want anything blown out ever. I want direction. As you can see, there is direction. So the light is the brightest on my face, kind of drawn there. Or the toilet paper is really the brightest part in the hat. See? Again, this is different per image. It's just taste. I'm going to try another little light effect. I think there's a little. There, that's much better. Yeah. So now, really, without that, you can see the like this, kind of one even thing, and bam, there you go. There's the pop. And that pops the face. Last time, I'm going to sharpen it. We're done. This is a simple sharpening technique. Make that stamp visible layer and filter other high pass. Put that to 4. Change this blend mode down to soft light. And there you have it. Let's go before and after.
So show us.
So about an hour and a half.
Yeah. Show us before and after.
It's really in the intricacies of the different. So here we go. Before.
That's crazy.
What a difference. That is hilarious.
So
Amazing.
yeah, that was done.
And that's so your style too.
Yeah, and it's the way I guess it's the intricacies, the order of the layers, and
Yeah.
how I'm kind of focused on zones, but then the overall image has to be, the tonality of it has to come together. So you can see a lot of the tones are pretty much even, which is what I like. And then there's a little hint. That's why this light up top is very signature in my style.
Yeah.
Because the whole thing, I want a very nice evenness, and then that pop. You're led straight to that thing. That's why it has red. And it ties in with, it's kind of a foreground-background relationship.
Yeah.
So that's why I colored the exact same red that's in the hat for the shirt. So it kind of ties everything together.
Did you choose bluish reds or did you tint the red? The reds are.
It's a little bit muted. It's
Yeah.
a little bit muted. So I'm going off of this American flag.
Yeah.
But that's also light quality. I kind of wanted that variation.
I know.
So up top, it's a little bit more dense, and then that fall off, like I was talking about. So that's how lighting works. It goes from the top to the bottom.
Oh.
It all comes together at the end, with the lighting. That's literally why I light from the center. My lighting is almost always in the center area here, with that fall off.
Was this one light?
3.
3 lights.
One on the background,
Huh?
one on top, 45-degree angle. I think just like we did at your house. It's right above with the beauty dish.
Yeah.
And then on top and behind that is the 6-foot octagons for fill. And everything's on axis. So
Did you say 6-foot octabox?
yeah, like a Ellen Chrome 6-foot octabox.
And that's behind the camera?
Right, yeah.
I mean, behind you.
Behind me and behind the light, the main light.
Yeah. Yeah.
The main light gives the pop, and then that other one is slightly underexposed, so it gives you can kind of even see here, where this is much lighter or darker than this area right here.
Yeah.
But that's where my beauty dish is, on my face, and the toilet paper. And then it falls off pretty quickly because of the height and distance. And then that's where the fill comes in. Just fills in this other section with a little bit of fill. It's not overpowering. Because I'm shooting at f7.1. I didn't want things to go blurry or anything like that. So just ST. What's up?
Who's that?
Who is that?
Hey, it's Steven Edelman.
Oh, okay. How's it going?
Long time.
I thought you came in at the end, but that's still fine. I think that's the best part, actually.
Yeah.
See the before and after. Are you ready, man? All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Maybe that's after. Before, after. This was about an hour and a half of Photoshop.
That's right.
Yeah, this is super fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so
That's
I
really
kind of
something.
broke. What's that?
That's really something. I'm gonna hit the screen record now. So if there's
Got it.
anything you want to get in, let me know.
Oh, I'll talk to the camera. Well, thank you guys for coming or editing with me. That was a blast. And I can't wait to see you guys on the next one, which probably will be in, maybe I should do these things more often. We'll do a poll or something. Let me know. If you have any more questions too, definitely hit me up. I'd love to answer them. If you want to see more of my work or articles or anything, check out fstoppers.com or my website, elidreyfus.com for more of my work. And I hope to see you guys next time. Till then, stay safe, stay healthy. Peace. So.
Yeah, thank you.